Welcome to your doom. Shut it and get over here. Massive uppercut!
Hello and welcome to another edition of the JabJab Show. Today I'm reviewing Ghostbusters, the 2016 reboot. Ghostbusters, this one is now directed by Paul Feig. It stars Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones, and also I noticed Andy Garcia as the mayor, which is kind of odd. Plus there's like cameos as well, which we'll get onto a bit later. So the story behind this film of the Ghostbusters is basically a bunch of paranormal activities happening in Manhattan. Kristen Wiig's character gets together with Melissa McCarthy's character, Abby Yates, and Kate McKinnon's character, Holtzman. They get together and form the Ghostbusters, and there's also Leslie Jones as Patty, who joins in later. More on, I'll get more on that. But they form the Ghostbusters basically, and they discover someone or something is using these devices to enhance, exaggerate, amplify, however the ghosts coming out and what have you, all these haunted places and so forth. The film also stars Chris Hemsworth. Like millions and millions of people out there, I love the first Ghostbusters. I love the Ghostbusters film from '84. I do like the second one. I'll put this out there. I do like, it's very good. It's had its moments. It's not up there with the first, but I feel personally it's underrated. I love the real Ghostbusters cartoon series. All the rest of it. I must have watched the first one when I was 6 or 7. I didn't watch it at the cinema, and its original release. But yeah, I love the film. So I'll say this now as well. I watch. I've seen a lot of reboots out there. There's reboots I do like. These reboots I don't like. Reboots, reimaginings, call them what you will. I watch them. I want to watch good films and what have you. What's happened with this film is basically it's absolutely abysmal marketing behind it, and I do lay the blame, a lot of it, on Sony. A lot of people, basically the very notion of remaking Ghostbusters is very, it rubs people up the wrong way. It's like, why remake this? It's a perfect film, all that. I get that, and it is, okay. There's also people who saying they don't like remakes, like full stop. I get that. I do get that. Like I say, I have seen reboots and what have you. There's people which I don't agree with. I'm putting out there. Everyone seems to be having to say, "Look, I'm not sexist. I'm not, for women doing Ghostbusters as the Ghostbusters." And it's. I've got no problem with that. Because, and I understand why Paul Feig has done this. Because he's not most of his films, if not all of them, maybe. They do have a lot of female casting there, Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig were always pretty much shooting nail on for roles within this film. I've got no problem with that. It took me a while to kind of get my notes together and compile them in some kind of cohesive, maybe order for this review. And I've been, I believe I was as objective as I could. I kept an open mind as I could, knowing that the first trailer of this film was awful. It was bad. It wasn't. They just had factual errors in there. They're saying 30 years ago. No, it wasn't 30 years ago. It was 32 years ago and 27 years ago. If we're going by the first two Ghostbuster films were set in those years. If you watch, there's certain cultural references within those films that suggest that they are set in the year they were released. So they got that wrong. 4 scientists saved the world. No, it was 3 scientists and a blue collar worker. Winston's not a scientist. I felt Winston brought a pragmatism. He's a blue collar worker to it, but they were getting these elementary things wrong. I think who the fuck cut this trailer? He put out there. He didn't, not so much proofread, but he okayed this. Anyhow, the first trailer happened. A lot of people, if they weren't against the Ghostbusters remake, they'll probably say, "No, fuck this. This is stupid. It doesn't make sense." They don't like some of the jokes in there. They don't like the look of the ghost. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the look of the ghost, to be honest. I mean, call me a traditionalist. I love the how they did the optical effects in the first couple of films. Yeah, that was the technology available at the time. I get, the advancement of the CGI and whatever. I felt the look of the ghosts in this new one looked too designed, too neon, they're not really ghosts, but I don't know. They're going with what they're going with, okay? I would say, to be fair, for me anyway, the trailers did get progressively better. They changed it from 4 scientists to 4 friends. But the problem for me, the big problem with the trailers remained for me, where they were saying it was for people saying they're acknowledging what happened in the previous films, okay? But then they were also saying it was a hard reboot. And then it was the fact that they were having these cameos from like Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and so forth, but as different characters. And it confused me a bit, because I'm thinking, well, how's that going to work? Because you're acknowledging the events of the first, well, certainly I'm guessing the first film they're acknowledging, even though they're mathematically wrong. So why are they acknowledging it and having the cameos as the people, different characters? Now you're thinking, no, fuck you, you're Peter Venkman, you're Ray Stantz, you're Winston Zeddemore. It doesn't make sense. Now, for the record, it is a reboot. It's a hard reboot. So after watching it, you know all this, but so I don't understand the whole marketing. It didn't make sense to me. First impressions last in movies and what have you, and just in general life. So, the first trailer and what have you. I mean, I was always going to watch this film. I want to watch films. It's a big deal for a lot of people. Whatever side you're on with this, I was always going to. I'll keep an open mind as possible, and I was ready to believe. So this being a reboot, I feel you're gonna compare it with the original. By calling it Ghostbusters and not Ghostbusters 3 or Ghostbusters Reimagined or something like that, Resurgence, whatever you will. It's gonna hide into nothing. So I want to talk about the Ghostbusters themselves as they are in this film. Kristen Wiig as Erin Gilbert. She was okay. I expected a little more, to be honest. Because she's, Kristen Wiig, I've seen her in a lot of things. She's, very dependable. She's really funny and all the rest of it. Same goes for Melissa McCarthy. I didn't think she really she didn't really do much more than just average. I'm saying that. I've seen her in things. She's okay. She was quite good in Identity Thief. I like that. She's showing a little bit of depth in that. But in this one, I don't know. She's looking quite clicking. She's got a really funny scene, I'll be honest. And there's a few things here and there. Don't get me wrong. They're not awful, but they expect a little bit more. I mean, maybe because the film was a 12-8 and she couldn't go off on big sweary rants and just like insulting people as she's done in the other films, like it and all. That's what I think her strength is. She's quite quick. She's coming up with things. I think with this one, I didn't really like her as much as I thought I would do. Kate McKinnon, I think she's probably the one for me having the most fun in this film. I didn't know much about her, to be honest, during this. Before this film, she's probably going to be a load of more things, but this is she's having most fun. I feel she was probably a bit passive early on, but when she came into her own kind of thing, I had no problem with her on the most part. She's a little too overly kooky now and again, but like I say, she was for me the best Ghostbuster of the film. Leslie Jones, she's as she is in the trailer. I can again with Kate McKinnon. I didn't know much about her going into this film. I know they're all Saturday Night Livers. There's a time early on, Leslie Jones' character as Patty was talking to herself as she's going down this corridor, and I think some of these kind of things that they did within this film, I don't know, ad-libs or whatever, they didn't really hit the mark. She's just talking to herself for so long. And I don't have any problem with that. You look at the Die films, John McClane does that, and lots of other films talking to themselves. If they're advancing the plot through, what I'm going to do is this, what I'm going to do that. It's kind of a cheat kind of thing, because it's like exposition, but it didn't. Nothing she did really was that funny for me personally. As it is in the trailer, this is non-spoiler. As it is in the trailer, she's a subway worker. She knows New York and all that, so that's why she wants to join the Ghostbusters, because she sees a ghost in the subway and all that. So, but it didn't really explain how she went from subway worker to Ghostbuster. Because when they start with the Ghostbusters, it's pretty much out of their own pockets. They're not being funded by anyone. So I was just thinking, would you really, you'd help out, I guess, but you'd really be able to financially support yourself as a Ghostbuster? I don't know, that stuff like that, real world stuff like that does bug me, unless there's a good enough reason. I don't think there was. Yeah, like I say, I didn't mind the ghost in this. I thought, like, looking at the trailer, it looked very Dayglow, very kind of like was it a Haunted Mansion, Scooby-Doo-esque kind of ghosts, a bit like Dayglow. I thought, well, they're not really ghosts, but to be honest, I didn't have as much of a problem as I thought I would do with this. It's difficult for me to put myself in a fresh pair of eyes looking at a Ghostbusters film. My mind as an 8-year-old watching it, for 7-8-year-old, whatever I was, when I first watched the original, would I be scared of that? Would you take your 6, 7, 8-year-old to this film? With all the cultural changes and society changes over, the past 32 years since the original, I don't know. I couldn't tell me. So if if there's anyone out there who has took their young son, daughter to this film, were they scared? There's some jumpy moments, some creepy moments, I'd say, but I wouldn't say any of the ghosts personally. I'm up there with the scare factor. I say, because a big thing for me was in the original, the library ghost. That gave me nightmares as a kid. That shit fucking scared me up. I don't know, but anyway, because even now, let's say, obviously with the advantage of CGI, they do much more with the visual effects. But now you look at you got the DVD or Blu-ray or whatever of Ghostbusters, and when the library ghost is in full moment, you pause that. That's a fucking scary picture. That's a scary image right there. This is like, a 32-year-old film. I don't know, is it just me? I don't know. That's a fucking scary image right there. The moment. And the other things in the original, the second one had its things, but in the first one, when the actual containment unit had to get shut off and all the guys hit the mic, sorry. Right, I don't think, just give me a minute. Sorry, technical issue, folks. So when the actual containment unit was opened and you see the skyline, all this swirling all the ghosts around, and the music, freeze. It's just the fusion of the music and the imagery and all that. It just scared the hell out of me. I could watch it, not so much the library ghost, because for years, when the news was on its way up, I had to leave the room or turn away, because obviously not even though the moment, they had the kind of the sound as well, so I was a scared kid at that at that film, but I fucking love that film now. Anyway, so I don't know, you tell me, if you take would you take your young son, daughter to this film, and if so, were they scared by this film? I would say the first ghost you see, it's the ghost in the trailer, so it was okay. It's probably the most effective ghost in there. I mean, for me, I don't know. Yeah, so this film I felt would go down more the comedy route than the scary route. I don't know. I got that vibe from the trailer and the subsequent trailers and that. Despite what you think of the trailers, and given the heritage, the kind of credentials of the cast involved and whatever, I thought, yeah, I can see why they would probably go down that route. But to be honest, I didn't find it that funny. Other things they're saying. I didn't mind the backstory for Erin Gilbert and Abby Yates. So they used to be friends and what have you, and that's okay. They didn't do so much with the other two characters in terms of backstory, but there was some. Don't get, like I say, there's some really funny stuff in the film, but it's very fleeting. The first joke in the film is pretty much a fart joke, and the add-on an extra bit to the fat joke. And there's also the joke in the trailer about that stuff went in every crack. And I thought, well, is this the kind of level of comedy we're going for? The kind of humor we're going for? It's a lot of, it's endemic in a lot of these American comedies. I'm not sure if it fits in the Ghostbusters thing, but they're doing the wrong thing. I get what they're doing. So the other characters in the film, we've got Chris Hemsworth as Kevin, and yeah, I don't know. I just found him stupid. He's supposed to be dim and all that. I get that, but fuck me, he was doing things, in the film, and it made me wonder how the fuck does he get? How does he get dressed in the morning? How did he do certain things? If he can't do these things in the film, and it just carries on and on and on with this shtick. There's one character who's portrayed as a paranormal debunker. This character tracks down the Ghostbusters, and after they've caught the first ghost in the trap, he tracks them down and he wants proof. He wants evidence of this ghost. And it made me think of say Walter Peck in the original. That kind of like someone for the Ghostbusters to go against. As the film transpires, they don't really explore this with this character or any characters. There's a couple of Homeland Security characters in there, which again I feel they could have done more with. One of the agents was, I think, a little too patronising. I wouldn't towards them and talking about them on TV. I didn't really buy into her, because I thought this is just play for laughs. She's not playing she's not playing a real person. She's playing a character. She's much like you see in high school films, a prom queen, how she would talk about a nerdy group of people, which they are, but in the way that she plays it, I mean, for me, it didn't ring true about anyone. No one talks like that, no one acts like that. Certainly, if I would imagine if you put in a profession like Homeland Security, I don't think anyone would act and talk like she did. One of the biggest problems we have with this film is just the main antagonist, the main bad guy, if you will. They establish this guy, this Rowan character, who's this oddball loner, gets bullied at work and whatever. They establish him, and he's saying certain things to people and to himself, and I thought they were going down the kind of same route as, say, Ghostbusters, like Johan and Vigo. This character is being controlled by a higher being, or something like that. As it is, he was just some nerdy guy. He's just some loner. He's just fed up with getting bullied and whatever. And that's it. I don't think there was enough motivation, enough backstory to him. I don't think there's anything like that. It's just not good enough. Not in terms of, not just in the Ghostbusters films, but in films in general. If you got a bad guy antagonist, they have a motivation. They have, and then they have in their head an end result. They want to either get more money, more power, more politics. Want to release prisoners, whatever it is. You look at all the good films, great films, whatever, of which goody versus baddie kind of thing. They got, whether you agree with their methods or not and their reasonings, you at least know what they want to do and why they want to do it and so on. I suppose in one way, kudos for them to not go down the route they've already done with the Gatekeeper, Keymaster, Zool, Gozer, let's say Janosch and Vigo. They're trying something different, but I think what they've got, what the end result is, I didn't buy it, to be honest. What he did with the character and certain things, how he went from this, the character he is to the character he becomes, it didn't explain anything at all. I was just thinking, no, I didn't. There's a fair few of these where they set things up, and to advance the story they go from here to here without really explaining it that well. For me, anyway, it just felt a bit. It could have done it a little better. And another thing that struck me as a little odd was the lack of community within this film. The first two films, a lot of people in the city as the big showdown is happening. so on. There are people in the city as a big showdown is happening, don't get me wrong, but they're all run away from this massive thing that you get a glimpse of in the trailer. There's only really, apart from the Ghostbusters and the ghosts obviously, there's only really the military and the police present, and what they do with to kind of deal with them it's a very convenient way of dealing with that element of what's happening, you know. But anyway, they do what they do with the military and police. I just thought, you know, throughout the film, there's like I said, with the character they use as a paranormal debunker, there's like news stories and what have you about are these Ghostbusters for real, or are they just doing light shows? You know, like Walter Peck. Explains in the first one about the original Ghostbusters. Are they just like people who are just getting attention? You know, they refer now again to YouTube comments of the videos they uploaded. I mean, maybe that's a comment on the actual film itself. Maybe it's a conscious decision to say, yeah, we acknowledge that we got a lot of complainers, haters and whatever online, and this is our way of just saying, yeah, we know about this. But anyway, so all in all, they're a big deal. People know of them. There's a lot of publicity around them. And then in this world, we're surrounded by like media, like lots of magazines going about celebrities and whatever. It's a big deal. So these Ghostbusters, as they are, like them or not, they're a big deal. Okay, but it's for me, knowing all this and establishing all this in the film, I found it a bit strange that they didn't. There wasn't more people either for or against, you know, at the final showdown. You just saw shots of people running away, but I just felt lack of involvement by the outside world. You had the Ghostbusters and a few characters I mentioned, and it just felt a bit empty, the actual final throwdown. Okay, about the cameos. As it played out, they were okay. It's a little odd, obviously, watching certain actors from the original playing different actors. Yeah, I say it's a reboot and stuff. There's one cameo which I found pretty funny and what have you. But all in all, I felt they could have, they could have been the original characters in this film. You know, maybe not have played out with people saying the passing of the torch for these new characters. That would have been an idea. That means like for any sequel that they've got for this film, they don't have to necessarily have the originals in that film either. But, you know, in this film, they're the passing of the torch. People expected that, but when it came out that there were different characters, yeah, I did feel a bit weird watching these characters playing other actors playing other characters and so on. And some were just the typical cameo kind of spinning on you. You show the back of the actor spinning around, and you say, "Oh yeah, that's her, that's her or him, whoever." I'm going to spoil out. There is a little nod to Harold Ramis early on in the film. So as I said, I went into this film, as objectively as I can. I was ready to believe. I don't feel it was a train wreck as it could have been. Just considering all the fucking shitstorm Sony created, and the trailer was rubbish, and having said all that, I don't think it's as bad as it was. I think, but I don't know, it could have been a lot better. I put the blame mainly down on the story and the script. I mean, I don't know how much of the script was ad-libbed and improved on the day, considering the backgrounds of the characters involved. But for me, it didn't really hit. And I say, for me, the main thing, one of the main things was like not having a compelling bad guy. The end scenes were a little too easily dealt with, kind of thing. I think. I mean, I like Slimer. I like what they did with Slimer initially, but it's kind of how they. I'm trying to spoil it, but how they solved what they were doing, so to speak. It reminded me a bit like the end of the first Hobbit film, and I think it happens in the book as well. I've not read the book in years, but how they do it, it's a bit like everyone's fighting these orcs, they're getting leathered and stuff, and the freaking eagles appear from nowhere, flying over to another island, and I think, Oh, that's a bit weird. Where the fuck did that come from? The Deus Ex Machina, it just seems a bit too kind of, we got like a couple of minutes of the film left. We need to get things going, because you obviously wonder how they're gonna do what they're gonna do and do what all that. I think it's a little too convenient. I mean, this film hasn't ruined my childhood or anything like that, But we always have the originals, despite what Sony and the filmmakers and what have you doing with this. They want to make more films. It does open itself up to a sequel. There's a bit at the end of the credits, and there's things towards the end of the film that suggests they're going to make another film for this. And the material on screen isn't as good as the original Ghostbusters. For the record, this is my least favourite Ghostbusters film. It's not, putting all that Ghostbuster thing aside, I don't think it was a good film. I think it was below average, to be honest. I'll say no that. We've always got the originals, haven't we? So, them's my opinion. What's yours and yours? And it's a big deal for a lot of people. I get this film. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'm not talking about rude things. I'm talking about the comment section. And tell your friends and everything. In the words of the new Cyrus, send the word.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.